Good evening. Welcome to Options Center. It is Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. March 11th, 2024. Thanks for joining us. We had a great weekend. Video showed the reversal on Friday, nasty reversal, and we're going into CPI readings in the morning tomorrow before the bell. So what I think really what happened today was just a pause. And, Captain Obvious, the options are for either price to go right back up to the top of the so-called channel or wedge that price is forming. We're holding right onto this trend line, or good chance we gap down. There's tons of scenarios. I think we have our top here. We reverse, maybe we gap up tomorrow and crap. We didn't really get any retracement here. We just have this doji candle, so that's a possible reversal candle to the upside. So maybe we get one day up and we start reversing, get a lower high. That's kind of the scenario I'm looking at. We have our call protection on for our swings to the downside. And it's very important to know that with the catalyst like this, we can just easily gap down. And if that happens, that's a pretty bearish scenario. And we break the trend lines on SPY, QQQ, and we already did it at DIA and IWM. So that's what we'll be looking for. The catalyst tomorrow should make a market move. If there's just a slight maybe gap up, I'll be shorting into that gap. I'll take off the hedges. And we'll look for midday reversal going into Wednesday as well. All right. So if you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that Options Center logo, and subscribe. We're going to go through SPY. I know we just looked at a little bit. We're going to go through SPY, QQQ, but I have a few trades that I put on today, some swing shorts out into next week. We have Netflix and Coin. We're also short Bitcoin. So I'm going to show you why. So let's go through SPY, and we'll use some of these indicators just to fly through, and we'll do the same thing on Bitcoin. And if we have time, we'll use some of the indicators on Coin and Netflix. All right, so we have SPY. We have our giant wedge here. We hit the top of that in confluence with a channel connecting these 2 points and connecting this point here with the confluence of that wedge. And then on the lower time frame, the smaller wedge confluence there too. That's no coincidence. It's a huge point right there. And that's not all. That's not all. We also have, let me show you the one, our expanding ending diagonal. This is our primary scenario. We got that high not only on this expanding wedge ending diagonal, but we also hit the 127.2% extension from the 2022 correction. It's a big area. Now, there is another target above. If price gets above 516 and holds above 516, the next target on the higher time frames will be 560. Our primary scenario is that this is expanding ending diagonal. We have a 1, 2, 3, an ABC for a 1, ABC for a 2, ABC expanding out for a 3, expanding out for a 4, larger than wave 2, ABC, and just a ripper ABC to end this. And that shows that momentum has increased each and every time, and that is indicative of a blow off top. All right, so not only did we get all those confluences with trend lines on traditional technical analysis, but on Elliott wave and Fibonacci, we have these patterns. We have the Fib extension and also our Fib ratio time relationship on the 7th and 8th were a confluence of them. I have more on a different chart, but that is top to top to top. That's what the relationship is. Okay, all that coincidence? Maybe. So I do expect a impulse move down. Tomorrow would be a good catalyst to continue that move. We'll see. And at minimum, I think our primary scenario will come down and test these highs down here. And we talk about, and then get a bounce and head lower, right? So we talk about these consolidation areas on traditional technical analysis. We have a lot of volume and trade and channel here. So our first stop would be to retest these highs. So we're looking for that 473. There's not much on the higher time frame holding price back. There's smaller consolidations that we'll see hold price on the hourly time frame, but our real test will be here at the 475 area. We have a long-term pivot that's going to coincide with. We get below that, and you see the bottom of this area, and also former highs, former all-time. That's all-time high. Former highs here. That's going to be around that 459 area, and that also coincides with the one standard deviation move from the VPOC on the daily time frame. So you'll have a lot of confluence of support here as well. So, this could be a nice impulse wave one. You have a 1, 2, possible 3 that stops in this area, maybe a little bounce for 4, and a wave 5. That would be ideal to get into there to get our larger degree bounce. And that's when we see, hey, is it scenario 1 where we get the bounce and fail, or is that where we hold, price action holds, and we get what would be considered an ending diagonal at that point, where we go up to that 560 zone, which would just happen to be, I got to adjust this a little bit. You see there's a space there. It just happens to be where this huge, well, first of all, the channel top, but that's the wedge top from the 1929 crash. Okay, so that's massive. I'll just show you real quick. I don't have the information on SPY, so I'm not going to waste your time. This is a major wedge top here from 1929. So if we do decide to hold price action, the Fed does not pivot yet, has no pivot. We'll be looking at all that, and that would be our next target to the upside. So we'll see what happens after we get this impulse move down and a wave, a bounce, excuse me. Okay, so we keep going over those two situations. This is the primary situation, and this is secondary. This has a lot of time factors on here that I'm working with, so it's very busy. But this is this whole thing is an ABC for 1. This is a much larger pattern for an ending diagonal. 1, ABC down for 2, ABC up there for 3. 3 is shorter than 1. Get a correction down to wave 4, which ideally would cross wave 1 for an ending diagonal. And then we can start to project what the upside is, but clearly we have the target here at the 562 area, and also that the channel top once again, and also the major top at the from the wedge top from 1929. It intersects with the top of 2000 as well. Okay, so all that, we have tons of information there, right? We can't spend too much more time on this one. we have our divergences. That's all this shows. And this price action is getting really tight in the RSI. And even here we have the support area on the Williams R percent. So we start to break down from this point, and that is confirmation. Start to break down. You can draw a trend line there if you want to, a triangle. It starts to break down or break up. Then you can see which way price action is going. Again, we have divergence all the way on the daily time frame. There's divergences everywhere, you guys. Divergences everywhere. So we have the 13 count. We have a 9, 9, 13 sell setup that we got last week. So that's something to look for. The sell setup on the daily time frame. We're at the top of the Bollinger Band. The setup is where you have an overbought situation on the RSI, and then where you have divergence. So it worked on that point. It worked here, and it's working here now. All right, so let's go over to Netflix. Well, QQQ. QQQ, still same situation. Everything's the same as SPY. You have divergences all over the place. The balance of power is actually negative right now as we start to decline. Looking at Twitter and seeing the feed on YouTube, stuff like that, it's already bearish, so that's not a good sign for that. But I do think we're getting our correction. It's really weird. It's like 2 down days and everybody's super bearish. I mean, I've been bearish, but it's just really weird to see. So IWM, same thing. We have divergence going on there, and if price action decides to continue to the upside after the correction, perhaps this gets some sort of correction, retests this downtrend, and heads higher. We'll see. That's what that looks like. We have a couple wedges forming there. Broke down. We had a fake break and is starting to head to the downside. So taking a look at that. Let's go to Netflix. Netflix has a nice big wedge here that we took a put position into next week, the 22nd, I believe, on this one. And we had a bear flag forming and starting to break down on the 65-minute for this bear flag. So that's why we took this play here. We had an initial impulse wave down, a retrace, and now I'm looking for the minimum to at least get down here to about the 580 area to test the trend line. So very simple. As price action gets into the wedge, and when you have these 3 drives to a high right here, or 3 peaks, some people call it, there's different things you can call it. And at that point, you have on the MACD negative divergence. That's what this setup is. RSI, you had the high, lower high, lower high. So you have the 3 peaks here, and divergence is playing out. You had the sell signal back here, right at the top here. Where the slow stow crossed over. Bollinger Band, same thing. You get to the top of the Bollinger Band here, along with a wedge, coinciding with the wedge, and a negative divergence equals sell signal. At least a setup. So trying to move through quickly. We'll start off with coin, and then we'll go over to BITO and BTC. Look at it from 2 different directions. Okay, so this is real simple. I just made that from the bottom here. These 2 points came up to these 2 points in confluence with this consolidation area here. If you box in this consolidation area, that gave us a resistance and support. And so we're getting that resistance here. It's a zone. We're back down. That would be a fake break out of that zone. Okay, there is room to go up if it needs to. Also, if you go to the Elliott wave picture, we're at the 62% retracement. To me, Coinbase, with the limited information that we have from its IPO, we have an impulse down. It looks like we have a 1, 2, 3, wave 4, and 5. Okay, so that looks like an impulse move down. And if this is a corrective move up, then we're looking at a whole nother leg to the downside, which would be a zigzag. All right, and that's a perfect place for the zigzag to reverse. This is 62. Didn't quite get there, but with this, again, limited information, you know, it's in that zone. It's in the reversal zone. So we're looking at that. This looks like a complex. It looks like a WXY. You know, that happens a lot more on crypto situations where you have WXY. In other words, this is a zigzag ABC. You get a correction. You have a zigzag here. All right, double zigzag. So that's what I think we're getting on this correction. That's just about over, if not over already. In that, again, the Bollinger Band, same thing. Set up here, negative divergence, and then a smaller negative divergence over to the right here, which would give another sell signal, a secondary sell signal. Same thing with reversals. We're starting to get the sell signal there. We don't, on the MACD, we don't have any divergence or anything. We don't need it, but it's definitely up here peaking with that that really high peak here for a correction. You see there's no divergence or anything there before a continuation to the downside. And we're getting right to that zone as well. We're actually just a little bit above it. So that may start curling over. So we have the setup there, and obviously above 275 would be our stop. You get above, stay above 275, and then you get room to go up to 340 zone. All right, everything else has negative divergence. You have the awesome oscillator that's just screaming to the upside after this move here. So no divergence on that one, but you do on the balance of power. Okay, so since coin, tracks Bitcoin, it's important to always look to see what's happening here. And, we had this channel that we came up to, had a nice hard reversal off of there. I thought that was it, but clearly we have an impulse move to the upside. And I do believe that's over. If you count it, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So I do believe this is a completed impulse move, which would mean that this is probably an A, B, C. Nice impulse correction there, and then so for a larger A, B, and then a wave C impulse. C is our impulse moves on corrections. Okay, so this peak here had a nice reaction on, but got on top of it, and so we have this breakdown candle high here, and so we're at resistance once again. And again, with this limited information from this ETF, we're right in that pocket. We're right in the golden zone there for the 62% retracement. Again, I thought this was it right here. We went short the first time last week. We went short here at about 31. Made a divergence, and again, the same setups today. Had another divergent high there, a lower high. Top of the Bollinger Band reversal. I didn't check the DMARC, but yeah, it's still got, if it continues to go higher, maybe we get a 13, a 913 count up here. But yeah, let's go over to BTC, and we kind of have a sell, not kind of, we do have a sell point up here as well. So sorry it's so busy. Let's see. You can easily take these off. You see the contract changes over there. If you go to futures and the settings, and you take this contract change event, just take that off there. So it makes it a lot more clear. We're at new all-time highs, but we have this wedge forming with a lot of touches here. And again, we thought this was the reversal right up top here, and price held above the all-time highs and made a new all-time high right there. So forming a wedge, and we're right back at the top of that wedge officially. So we'll see what kind of price action happens going into tomorrow. We are short coin. We are short Bitcoin, BITO, and we'll see what happens from there. All right. Again, I could show you the Bollinger Band. All that's the divergences are all over the place again. So that's all I have to show you guys. We can check out the VIX just so this is tomorrow price could go up a little bit. We're showing a possible reversal signal. Maybe we gap down And if we gap down, you know that the market is starting to bounce to the upside. If this is just a pause and the price action continues to go up there, because we're right at sort of support there as well. So we'll see what happens. If the VIX starts to fade, then the market is attempting a bounce and or possibly another new high. So we'll see. I don't think so. I'm playing to the downside. We have our hedges. We'll see what the CPI brings. All right. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.